maybe it sounds contrite, but it really, I think every day showing up, you don't have to fit a mold. It's do it your way.
Welcome to Unleash Your True Value, a Breaking Money Silence podcast where professional women flip the script on self-doubt, ditch the discount mindset, and start owning their worth like the rock stars they are. Each episode is packed with real talk, practical tips, and the occasional mic drop to help you charge what you're worth and earn what you truly deserve. So buckle up, grab your coffee, because it's time to unleash your true value and make some noise while you're at it. Now, here's your host, Kathleen Kingsbury.
Hello, and welcome to the Unleash Your True Value podcast, Breaking Money Silence podcast, as I like to say. I'm Kathleen Kingsbury, and I'm here today with Jackie Bradley. She is a colleague of mine. She is in MindShift Financial Coaching. And I'm so excited, Jackie, that you're going to be joining us today to talk a little bit about your journey in the financial services profession.
So am I. Thank you for having me. I know you're straight off a flight from Arizona, so we'll just have fun today, Kathleen.
Yes, we will. So let me tell the audience a little bit about you. I'm going to highlight some things from your bio, and then we'll get right into the conversation.
Thanks.
So I call her Jackie, but officially she's Jacqueline. Bradley is one of the most recognized teaming coaches in the financial advising industry. Jackie has coached thousands of teams of all shapes and sizes and is an authority on the unique challenges that advisors face as they scale their practices to become more profitable, self-sufficient, and enjoyable to run. I like that part, enjoyable to run. Jackie has a master's degree in organizational dynamics and executive coaching from the University of Pennsylvania. And she has worked with many, many different firms as a team coach and succession planning consultant. Places like NEF, MetLife, Mass Mutual, Penn Mutual. And she has played all sorts of roles in the advisory industry. So we're going to have her tell us a little bit about that. She's also a fun person that I happened to meet in a networking group almost a year ago that was brought together by a shared colleague and former guest of the podcast, Ellen Rogan. And so I'm really looking forward to breaking money silence with you today, Jackie. So let's just jump right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
You have obviously been committed to the financial services industry for a long time and done some really great work in the industry. I'm wondering, originally, like kind of what motivated you to enter this field? Because, you know, we often hear women aren't looking at this field as an opportunity or a possibility.
Yeah, it's a great question. I am an odd duck, as I like to say, self-admitted nerd. I was always curious about this money thing. I think like many of us, we all have money stories. And I grew up in a home where mom was the saver and dad was the spender. And there's usually that dynamic in a couple, but it was confusing as a kid. And so there was part of me that like almost made a declaration when I was in high school that I was going to figure this money thing out, and money wasn't going to stop me from doing things that I wanted to do in life. And my aunt at the time gave me this book called The Wealthy Barber, which I don't even know if it still exists, or it's like this parable book of people would sit down in this barber's chair and he would tell them all of these ways to like save their money and make money on their money. And I was like, wow, this is very interesting. I'm glad that I have access to this at this young age. And then I learned at a career fair that you could become this financial advisor that would meet with people and understand their stories and their goals and put a plan together for them. And I was like, wow, this seems like me. And so right out of school, that's what I did. I went right I did a brief stint as a trader and then went right to the wirehouse.
Wow, good for you. I have actually heard of The Wealthy Barber, but I have never read it, but I have heard of the book.
Yeah, it's so interesting because you hear like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you hear some of these other ones. I haven't heard The Wealthy Barber in a while, or like the Babylon book. The Wealthy Barber happened to be the one.
So we will put a link to the Wealthy Barber if it still exists in the show notes. How's that?
Oh, fun. Good.
So you ended up at a wirehouse. And so, just for people who aren't in the financial services industry that are listening, talk about the difference between like a wirehouse versus a bank channel versus a registered independent advisor. Just tell us quickly what the differences are.
The simplest way is they're all in the financial services industry, all serving clients, different clients, and almost experts in different lines of products. So you have banks that do a lot of lending and mortgages and accounts. Wirehouses, back when I got in the business, were very sales oriented. We did a lot of municipal bonds, and we were just getting into what we called mutual funds. So we were starting to step into that. Typically back then, the insurance carriers were doing a lot of annuity products and insurance products. So it really just depends on the different lines of business and who they're serving and what they're selling.
Okay. And so when you started out at a wirehouse, was there pressure to sell?
There was. So unbeknownst to me, I joined what was First Union Securities at the time. So now I'm really dating myself. And the gentleman that I trained under, they were municipal bond salesmen. So they would call individuals and place municipal bonds. And then there was a markup with the bond, right? We started to get into the mutual fund business. We had a financial talk radio show. And as I'm preparing for this, I'm like, this gives you a sense of the culture back in this time. It was straight talk with the money guys.
The money guys. Nice.
Money guys. It was loud. It was transactional. The mutual fund wholesalers would sponsor the show. We'd talk about a product, and then we'd come off the air and take orders for that product. So that's as salesy, I think, as you can get.
Right.
So
how did you do with that? Because you went in thinking, oh, I'll sit down with people, I'll make a financial plan, I'll hear their money stories, and now you're selling bonds.
Yes. There were two parts of me. There was one that was like, get in line. I guess this is how it works. And you're going to learn from these people who seem very successful. And maybe this is just what the business is like. And then there was this other part of me that was like, I don't know. I started to get my CFP. I started to talk to people who were at different firms. So going back to your, what's the difference between a wirehouse and an insurance broker and a bank, I found a financial planning organization. And I was like, okay, this is going to be my home. Right. And so I moved there. The problem was it was very much the same. And what I mean by that is, yes, we were taking a look comprehensively at Kathleen's life. And at the same time, we were trying to create a need, disturb her to buy insurance, show her that need. And then we were still placing that product, whether it was municipal bonds or whether it was mutual funds. Now it just happened to be an insurance policy. And I am not against placing products. It was that I wanted to take a comprehensive approach first.
So like a lot of women in the field, you wanted to look at it holistically. You wanted to be more client-centric as opposed to taking someone through a sales process with the salesperson's kind of goals in mind, as opposed to what we often talk about today is like being very client-centric. So I saw something where you said that you didn't really like sales. I don't remember where I saw that. Maybe it was a conversation we were having. Is that true? And if so, how did you stay in the field for so long and not liking sales?
Yeah. I will say that I have now reframed what I mean by I don't like sales, because I think sales can be service if done in the right way. And it took me a long time to get to kind of where I am and my stance on that. Back in the day, I would have said, I don't like sales. So back to your point of taking people through a sales process, I would meet with my mentor and we would go through these files, and it was going through the files to say, what can we sell them? What else can we sell them? What else could we sell them? And it just felt inauthentic, I think is the best word. And that we were creating some sort of need to place a product so that we could be compensated. And that just didn't feel good. What happened in my career is you know e-money.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
do,
I'd say
um,
it's a platform where
it's a
people
platform, and
manage
I
their
would say
money.
probably
Yep.
some of your listeners, if they're in the industry, know e-money. It's a
Yep.
financial planning platform. What was unique at this time was e-money was in our backyard, their headquarters. And so I was able to work with a mentor and start our financial planning offer at this organization in Newtown Square that was taking a fresh look at things. And it was fun. Like we would go out. It was a little clunky, we
Yep.
were like just learning this financial planning software, but now we're learning how to charge fees. We're learning how to develop e-money. And so being able to shift at that point in my career, having seen it done one way, I knew there was possibilities to do it a different way.
Right. And did that feel more authentic to you, the way you were doing it with the financial planning?
Always felt more authentic to me. And it really helped me to zero in on advisors' practices. So I had made a decision that I did not want to be a standalone advisor.
Hmm.
To your point, at that point in my career, we're talking early 2000s. I came in probably like many of your listeners came in, write down 100 people that you know.
Yeah.
And
Cold call them.
it's called the Top 100 Project or the Natural Market Project, whatever you want to call it. But write down 100 people that you know, friends and family. And then your job is to go out and try to sell them insurance and move their assets over to you. My parents love me dearly, but they didn't sign up for this. They were like, I don't know. So I had made that decision. I kind of shifted into helping the firm take their financial planning in a different direction with e-money. And then I also stepped back and said, you know what? I have this unique gift to be able to simplify what is complicated in an advisor's practice. And it's oftentimes what they don't love to do. So if you think about processes, systems, delegations, client
Yep.
service, I really took on the practice management and client service for many of the top advisors at that financial planning firm and grew that into a career.
Which is awesome. I just want to highlight something because you said I
Yeah.
found out I had a unique skill to turn the complex into something that was simpler. And that is your true value when we talk about
Ah,
identifying true value. So
yeah.
that true value, and you were able to then pivot your career into something that it sounds like was more satisfying. You were able to tap into your unique gifts. And so
Mhm.
flash forward, tell the listeners what you're doing now and how that relates to kind of what we've been talking about because it's different and I want to make sure people know what you're doing at MindShift.
Yeah, absolutely. I created almost this little ecosystem in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania, of bringing advisors together with complementary skill sets, which at the time they called teaming. Really, it's like building firms, right?
Yep.
Building advisor groups. And I was tapped on the shoulder by many of the large insurance companies to take this national and help their advisors across the country build businesses that are better, that can serve more people, that focus on what they like to do. Like we said in the beginning, that it's enjoyable.
Yep.
And so I'm traveling the country, helping these advisors team with other advisors, bring on staff, enjoy their businesses, grow their businesses, be profitable. And I keep getting asked the question. So financial planning is starting to get a hold, and the industry is starting to say, I think we might be able to charge for our intellect, charge for our advice. But we're working with advisors who have for years and years given their advice away for free and been compensated through products. So they have this misnomer, if you will, that the value is the product.
Yeah, as opposed to their advice.
as opposed to their advice, right? So the advisors are asking me as I'm helping them with their practice, do you know anyone who has shifted to charging for their time? Is it possible? What do they charge? Do they charge year one? Do they then charge in year two? Is it the same amount? Do they charge half? Is it more work? And I had done a little of that when we were getting that e-money started, but I knew a bunch of advisors in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania, who had shifted their practice in that direction. So I would connect these folks across the country.
Mhm.
Kathleen, speak with my partner, Ben. He's done this. He's shifted his practice to offer an advice model in addition to the transactional model. And Ben would talk to these advisors and get them excited, and no change would happen. And so he would say to me, Jack, I will talk to any advisor that you want, but they're not going to make a shift after a 30-minute conversation with me. So I was like, this is what the industry needs. This is what the advisors are asking for. You've done it and done it successfully. You did it for 10 years where you were sales model. Now you're 10 years advice model. I think that we have a program here that we can help advisors who want to make the shift and focus on advice and guidance and get paid for it. And that was the birth of the financial planning school.
Nice, nice. And so it's interesting because I'm hearing this story for the first time, even though we're in a networking group. It's not like we share our stories at that level.
Yeah.
And so this is like your second pivot to figuring out, oh, there's a gap in the market that I can fill. And that tends to be another one of your superpowers of like, oh, wait a second, this is where we're headed. And so how do you spend your days now when you're working in MindShift and you're doing the work that you're doing as an entrepreneur, as opposed to working for somebody else?
Yes. Second pivot. And I would say this is it sounds so cliche, but almost passion, because I feel like I am now delivering on something that if I had come into this model when I was 21-year-old Jackie, just getting started, I may still be in a financial advisor today. And I would also say that there's part of me that still thinks that I can run a practice and run this financial planning school. So let me get back to your question.
I was like, woo, do tell.
Woo! We created it's about 10 modules of the financial planning school. So every week, financial advisors who want to shift their practices come into a Wednesday class from 12 to 1. And we run things like the decision persona module that you participated in, Kathleen, like how do clients make decisions? We look at and we start with mindset. So you've been taught to give away your intellect and sell a product. How do we have to shift in order to now serve, not sell, offer help? So we spend a whole hour looking at that. Then we'll shift to qualitative. If I can put this financial planning fee, or quantitative, I should say, back into your life financially, we're really cost neutral, which helps the advisor with their mindset. So we lead them through this whole curriculum, which is designed to help the advisor create a recurring 6-figure revenue stream in addition to their product sales, in addition to AUM, that's just from their financial planning. So that's the goal of this when the advisor comes in. And then twice a month, I'll hold open office calls where the advisors will come in and say, I tried this. It worked, it didn't work. Let's debrief it together. And so if we're all on the call, I might not have something to talk about that specific week, but I'm learning through your experience.
Sure. I think that's really vital learning.
I'll bring in my practice management then. So maybe once a month, we'll talk about, all right, it's quarter end. Let's kind of look at our book of business. Who are we seeing this quarter? who do we want to offer financial planning to? How are we going to language that? And we'll do a lot of, working on their business in those
So to
steps.
quickly recap, it's like they go through this program, but there's also pieces where that supports them applying the concepts and really kind of making the shift to ultimately to realize that return of investment of whatever the investment they made in the school.
That's a great way to summarize it. I think there's a couple of things. It's advisors teaching advisors. So my partners are financial advisors who have made the shift, which I think is important because all the information or the methods are field tested. They're using them every day and they work. The second is words don't teach. I mean, they can be inspiring. They can really get you to start to think differently. But until we start to take the action to do something differently, we don't really see the change. So that's why we have it as a 6-month program. While there's only 10 modules, we repeat them so that people can hear them twice, take some action, hear it again, and then come into those open labs monthly where they can, we do them twice a month. And
it's interesting because you light up when you talk about this program. So you went from being what I would say it's a salesperson when you started out to somebody who is in financial planning to someone who's really coaching and training now. And it seems like what do you think has helped you stay in this industry for a long time and make those shifts? Do you think it's something about you? Do you think I don't know. What do you think's allowed you to do that? Because I think that's the entrepreneur in you. And that's the part that I know a lot of people listening will be like, how do I tap into that?
Yeah, I think I saw a need. I saw where the industry was going, and not that every advisor will build their practice this way. I give kudos to everyone who's helping people make better financial decisions, right? And we're all going to do it in our own way. I think for me, I also saw on the practice management side that we had a lot of overwhelmed, overworked, oftentimes, even if they were making a lot of money, underpaid in the sense of hours in versus what they were getting paid. Frustration. I'm helping people try to simplify the business, but they're scared to make financial investments in their practice. And so it was such a nice blend of come over here and think about building your business this way. You're creating now this additional revenue that's not tied to the market, that's controllable. And we teach to about an 80 to 90% renewal rate. So when you have those conversations year over year, your clients may opt back in, and 80 to 90% of the time they do. Now you can start making some really smart financial decisions of, I'm going to invest this back into the business. I light up because it was almost like that lead domino that made everything, if you've read the book, it made everything easier or unnecessary. I'm trying to think of the book by Gary. It'll come to me, but the lead domino.
So you're a woman who has survived and thrived in this industry. So what advice would you have for other women? Let's say women who are considering getting into financial services or women who are here and kind of questioning it. Is this the right place?
So here's a couple of things that I would consider getting into the business. Or even if you're in the business and you are questioning. What I have seen is there's so many different ways to build it. And when I first got in the business and I'm sitting in that radio station doing Straight Talk with the Money guys, I didn't even know what I didn't know. And so I think really having some informational interviews with some women out there who are doing it and doing it differently, that's going to start to give you some inspiration of, I think that helped me, Kathleen, even create MindShift and the financial planning school, was participating in different coaching programs and meeting people and seeing how they were delivering their advice and starting to question, how can I evolve with the industry? Because the industry is evolving and I think you can really do it differently. I think I shared this with our networking group, but the women who have participated in the financial planning school, it has been so amazing to see the results that they've achieved, not only financially, but just really loving the business again. Because we're naturally, women, I feel like I'm probably generalizing here, but we tend to take a more holistic, comprehensive approach. And now, if we can get paid for it, it's really like a professional way
Yes.
to offer what you're doing and how you're helping, I should say, more than anything.
Well, and what I like about that, because in the coaching that I've done for sometimes women advisors will come to me and they're either excited to start a business or build their business. And sometimes they'll come to me and be like, I'm really burnt out and this isn't my thing. And for the people that are burnt out, one of the first things I say is, let me connect you to some powerful women that have different perspectives, because I do think that's so useful. And this can apply to the men who are listening as well. But it's kind of really getting a sense that if you're outside the financial services industry, you have an idea like there's a financial advisor and this, often you think man, and you think this is what he does.
Yeah.
When the field in general is so diverse and there's so many different roles. We've talked about advisor, but you also move to more practice management, which is more of an internal role. And now you're a consultant and working with other people as a consultant. And so there's so many different ways to be in this industry, and it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. And I know for some of the women that have come forward, they've felt kind of stuck that they only have one path. And if you're in that situation and you're listening to Jackie and I today, know that there are many, many different paths. And it's also okay to leave the industry if it's not your thing. But I would definitely, I love the idea of informational interviews can be so useful in networking.
Sometimes I'll even say it's like you're borrowing someone's energy. When you're down on energy or you're feeling overwhelmed or not sure whether something's for you, having those informational interviews with someone who's been through it and found their space and found the way, it works for them can be so helpful in just borrowing that energy. Like, okay, you just feel differently coming out of those conversations.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes our networking group can be helpful for that,
For
right?
sure.
Shifting energy. We've all had times where we've shown up lower energy versus higher energy.
Absolutely.
So time goes really fast on this podcast. I have a couple of quick questions just to ask you that I ask everybody. There's no right or wrong answer. So I'm just curious. When you look back over the course of your career, what is the craziest thing you've ever done to land a job?
I was offered my first advising job in a gym that I worked in. And just because I think I alluded to a brief stint at as a trader when I first got out of school. And so I was also training in a gym, and my client knew I had a Series 7 and offered me a position at the wirehouse. So
you have no idea where you'll get hired. Could
you
be
have
well
no
working
idea.
out.
You're working at a gym and now you're financial advising.
Right.
It's interesting as we're having this conversation. I'm thinking, gosh, if I go back to my 21-year-old self, she could not have charted her path. This wasn't just this is going to lead here to lead there. So you do never know.
Right. Well, yes. When I was growing up and my career was evolving, I don't even know if there was wealth psychology really in the mainstream. So you never know where you're going to go. And it sounds like for you, it was kind of like being at the gym. That was just you got the offer and you're
Being
like, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And yeah.
So the other thing I always ask people is to complete this sentence. And the sentence is dare to be blank.
Yourself.
Oh, that fits with your authenticity from earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No one has answered that yet.
Lesson. Maybe it sounds contrite, but it really, I think every day showing up, you don't have to fit a mold. It's do it your way.
I love that. That so fits with like the unleash your true value concept, because your true value is being yourself. You've mentioned authenticity. I think you've offered a lot of great advice for people listening in, just in terms of your own career path and the fact that it's so important to pivot and to make sure that you're leading a career that's satisfying, and it doesn't always have to be the same thing for a long period of time. So I'm curious, if people are interested in the school that you offer, tell us a little bit more about that. And I think you might have a special offer for people.
I do. So the financial planning school is ongoing. And what I mean by that is we meet every Wednesday. So if that is something that you're like, gosh, I'd really like to learn more about it, I'm at my MindShift financialcoaching.com, and the financial planning school is right under Work With Us. I'll give a link to Kathleen, and for all of your listeners, I'd love to give 10% off of our tuition. I just feel like the more any advisor, but also women advisors, that we can get into the program, there's just a ripple effect, if
Well, that's very generous. We will definitely put that in the show notes and promote that. If I had another career to pivot, which I don't, it sounds something that would be intriguing for sure. And tell people, like, if they just wanted to connect with you, where's the best place to reach out? Is it the MindShift website or is it somewhere else?
I would reach out to me on LinkedIn. I do a lot of posting over there. And then if someone wants to do an informational interview, they want to borrow my energy, anything like that, then you can just DM me through LinkedIn and we can set something up. I'm Jacqueline, so no K, no Q. So Jaclyn Bradley. And you'll see I have in parentheses Jackie. You can call me Jackie. LinkedIn with me there, connect with me. And I'd love to support your listeners any way I can.
Awesome. Well, Jackie, it's been so fun to get to know you a little bit and to break money silence and definitely to learn from your energy, but also to learn about your true value and how you're making a difference in this field. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Kathleen.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Unleash Your True Value. I hope you're feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to own your worth unapologetically. Remember, your value isn't up for negotiation. It's time to embrace it, amplify it, and let the world know exactly what you bring to the table. If you're ready to take things even further, you don't have to do it alone. As a money mindset and business coach, Kathleen specializes in helping professional women like you rewrite their money stories, step fully into their power, and take their businesses to the next level. Visit kbkwealthconnection.com to set up a free coaching discovery call. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and leave us a 5-star review. Until next time, ditch that discount mindset and unleash your true value like the rock star you are.